Cinemajaw is sponsored by Overcast, an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone. Get it for free in the App Store. And we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from our respective homes in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting alongside us, as always, is Fill Me In Phil.
Hello, how we doing tonight, boys?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we finish off our celebration of 2021 in film with our favorite performances of the year.
Are you sure we're going to finish it off here? Because we could do like favorite supporting, favorite costumes of the year.
We're going back and forth. We may do our favorite characters next week, which we don't normally do. We usually do these 3 recap weeks in a row, but we may add a 4th because it is slow in January. So maybe we do our favorite characters of 2021 why don't we just cover 2021 for all of 2022? It's not a bad idea, to be honest.
You know,
wish we wouldn't have to have Cinemajaw meetings discussing what we're going to talk about. You know,
right? Exactly. You know, best toupee in film. Right.
I like it. We are, though, Matt, celebrating 2021 best performances, and we're clumping it all together. We picked 5. You can do male performances, female, supporting, lead, whatever you fit as your 5 favorite performances we can discuss this week.
Nice. I think I mixed it up pretty well, so it's going to be an interesting list.
I agree. We always got to bring in really strong film critics when we're recapping an entire year. We had Brian Tellerico on. We had Mark Dusick on. And who do we have coming on this week, Matt?
Pamela Powell. It's been a little while. I'm excited to talk to Pam again. As you mentioned, fellow film critic. She's got, accolades and credentials galore.
Yes. Plus, I think it's going to tie in nicely with the film we're reviewing this week as well. So I hope we put this whole thing together the right way.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit before we hit record, and I'm glad Pam is here to talk about the film we're going to mention because I think I'm not going to be strong on it.
Oh, boy.
That's a little foreshadowing for you folks.
Besides that, we have more going on, don't we, Phil?
Yeah, you know it, Rye. We are keeping it rolling with Wes Craven month, and we're doing something a little different. Don't worry, we still have our fact. That's coming up in just a little bit. But since we're celebrating Wes Craven because of the Scream reboot coming out, and we're going to be reviewing that, we wanted to get everyone a little caught up, so we'll be sharing a little bit from the original Scream as well.
Nice. And the suspense is over. We are reviewing The Lost Daughter this week.
Indeed. Saw this at the Chicago Critics Film Festival at the Music Box. So I'm a little rusty on it. I've only seen it once. Big fan. Can't wait to talk about that. Plus, Matt, we are playing Stump the Kubinski in honor of a new movie coming out. Maybe Pam's seen it. I know me and you have not. It's called The 355, starring Jessica Chastain.
Okay.
We are stumping the Kubinski, and the theme is Jessica Chastain movies.
Oh, good Lord. That I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I've definitely seen my share, but she's a chameleon, so sometimes I don't always see it as a Jessica Chastain thing. So we'll see.
All right. Before we bring on Pam, we do have a Wes Craven fact, as Phil alluded to. So let's start right there.
Yes, we're taking it very, very early. We're taking it back to Swamp Thing this week. Dick Durock, the star of that, was forced into the role in the 1982 film by necessity. He'd been brought on board as a stuntman originally for this project. However, the filmmakers were having a really, really tough time trying to go from Ray Wise, who was the original cast for Alec Holland, the human that Swamp Thing turned out of, and trying to make that look like the same person when Durock was the Swamp Thing. So they were like, whatever. They threw it away, and they just did all Swamp Thing's makeup as Dick Durock.
He
lost a man a job, but he gained himself a job.
That's how it goes sometimes, Phil.
I like
with
that
a face
sometimes.
like Dick Durock's. What can you do?
Quentin Tarantino casted stunt women in Death Proof, and
I think that was by design. That was by design.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a a corner of pop culture I am like completely almost oblivious to. I had a couple of Swamp Thing comics, never got into it, but people love Swamp Thing. It's like
there's a really good episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog that's surrounded about Swamp Thing.
Wasn't it a TV show?
Wife. Well, yeah, but
okay. Comics, TV shows, I know nothing.
That's all we got. Swamp Thing. I'm going to rewatch this one since we're celebrating Wes Craven here.
Yeah. I mean, so Craven directed it, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes. So, yeah, it's worth it. I need to rewatch it as well. It's been probably 20 years.
All right, let's get this show on the road here, Matt. We bring in our guest, Pamela Powell. She writes for Real Honest Reviews. You can also hear her talk on Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Pam, welcome back to Cinemajaw.
Thanks for having me back, you guys.
It's been a while.
It's good to see you, yeah.
Yeah, it's been way too long. And hopefully one of these years we'll be back in person and chit-chatting.
Oh, I can't wait. I
know.
So
but it's great to see you guys.
It's good to see you. What have you been up to in the year plus since we've had you on the show?
Oh my gosh. It's been kind of I don't know how I would describe this year. I mean, it's been 2021. So how do you describe 2021? I'm kind of putting it behind me and looking forward to 2022, but who knows what that's going to bring either. We've been doing a nice thing about 2021 was that Chuck and I were able to be back on the air at WCIA TV in Champaign to give our movie reviews. We've been doing podcasts and we've started YouTube reviews as well. We've been doing a ton of giveaways with the studios, which has been a lot of fun. And that's probably about it. I got a puppy, so we got that.
Oh, well, there's a development. What kind of dog?
He's a miniature Australian Shepherd, just like my other one, but a different color. And I would pick him up and show you, but he's sleeping at my feet right now, and I will not disturb a sleeping puppy.
No, let sleeping dogs lie.
Exactly.
I'm sure I asked you this question over one of our interviews. There have been several now, but I want to go back to it for new listeners. What was the thing that got you into movies?
You know, there are a few different things, and I think about that a little bit more. I didn't see a lot of movies growing up. I grew up in Podunk, New York. We didn't have a movie theater anywhere nearby. We had to drive 30 miles, country roads around a lake in order to get to a movie theater that actually, I'm not even sure if it was really a first run movie or not. But the first movie that I actually went to go see was the Star Wars movie, the first Star Wars. And my brother and his girlfriend took me to see it in Jamestown, New York. Now, if you know anything about Lucille Ball, or if you watched anything about Lucille Ball or heard anything, that is her hometown. I wear that badge with pride. And we're at the movie theater, and the line is around the mall, and I mean, huge line, really exciting experience for me. And I just thought it was like the best thing since sliced bread.
So it was a Star Wars for you? That's
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. Maybe I haven't asked you that question because that's a surprising answer. Good for you.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how my taste has evolved or changed or devolved, depending upon your perspective on this, as to what my taste in movies is. Although I then, I didn't see a whole lot of first run movies. And then I moved to Chicago to go to grad school. And I fell in love with this thing called independent films. Fine arts theater in Chicago. I didn't live too far from there. And so I saw some incredible movies. And one of the most striking ones, one of the first ones I think I saw there was Cinema Paradiso. And that one still I get choked up thinking about that one. That one is just so, so beautiful, so heartfelt. And, I went from big blockbuster of Star Wars to falling in love with independent film and realizing how powerful movies can truly be. And I'm really lucky to be able to do something like this for my life.
It's great. Yeah. Speaking of tastes in movies, we have been recapping 2021 and we'll continue to do so this week. But everybody has their top 10 list. Everybody has their favorite movie of the year. Brian Tallarico named The Power of the Dog his. Last week, Mark Dusick announced that 9 Days was his favorite movie of 2021. So we turn the mic over to you, Pam. What was your favorite movie of 2021?
It's kind of funny. My top 10, it changes from day to day, depending upon what movie I have seen and what mood I'm in or how much sleep I've gotten. But my number one stays right where it is, as does my number two. My number one is Belfast, Kenneth Branagh's film, small ensemble cast that every single time I watch it, I've seen it countless times. I take something else away from it. It just is such an evocative film about a time in Ireland's history where a family had to rely on one another in order to go through this time and make sacrifices because they loved one another.
Wow, getting choked up on it.
I am.
That's awesome. In the show. We're only 10 minutes in here, Pam.
But obviously it affected you. It got to you.
It did. It did. It really did.
That's awesome. All right. So for the jawheads that want to read your reviews or listen to your reviews, where should we send them online? Because it seems like you're everywhere, Pam. So where should we send them?
I am everywhere. It's really kind of scary. The main site to go to, though, is mine and Chuck's, and that's realtalkwithchuckandpam.com. You can read our reviews, you can listen to our podcast, and you can watch our reviews on television. We're on CI Living as well as the morning show on Friday mornings.
And as always, I'll put the links in the show notes for the jawheads to easily get to Pam.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Matt, we are kicking this thing off with a film, Matt, by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Actress extraordinaire has stepped behind the camera to make her directorial debut with the film The Lost Daughter. The movie is based on a book of the same name that was written by Elena Ferrante and published in 2008. It sports an amazing cast led by Olivia Colman, and the best part, it's streaming on Netflix right now. Matt Kay, Pam, and I headed to a secluded beach in Greece to check it out.
Miss Caruso, welcome.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I work at the beach house. Just let me know if you need anything.
Great.
Get up! Mommy, get up!
Olivia Colman plays Lida, a middle-aged divorced woman who is on vacation in Greece when the film opens. She seems to have found the perfect spot on a beautiful beach. The weather is just right. No one is around. It's quiet. This lasts for less than a minute as people come storming the beach, making noise and running around. Among them is an American family who Lida tussles with instantly when she refuses to move her chair to accommodate a birthday party. This scene may not seem that significant to the naked eye, but it can be viewed as an analogy for the internal struggles Lida had when raising her own family. The issue The Lost Daughter deals with seems almost taboo: women who struggled with motherhood. After viewing this film, I read a couple reviews on it, and I found one, The Guardian, to be on point. I quote from that review: "The stakes of The Lost Daughter feel so weighty, the viewing experience so unsettling and transgressive, because the myth Lida's recollections deftly unravel, that motherhood will come to women naturally, that it will give something without taking something so valuable away, is so deeply woven into our culture as to be almost invisible. The idea of motherhood as an identity of tenderness, sacrifice, fulfillment, and above all, selflessness. The Lost Daughter dares to posit that, for some, motherhood might not actualize the self, but plunder it, especially if, like Lida, she becomes one while still barely an adult herself." In the film, we see this transpire in flashback scenes in which Lida is played masterfully by Jessie Buckley, which in return helps us understand why Olivia Colman's actions make some sense. This is not an easy watch by no means, but it is one that makes for a great discussion afterwards. It is a remarkable first feature from Maggie Gyllenhaal, and we will get to the rest of the cast here in a bit. But for now, I turn it to our critics, Matt Kay and Pam, both of which are parents. What did you make of The Lost Daughter? Matt?
First of all, I want to congratulate Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think that this is, by all accounts, a successful directorial debut. Personally, I hated it. I found it the most difficult film to get through that I have ever watched, and I made it through a net. So
that's right.
This movie is a slog. There is nothing redemptive about any of the characters whatsoever, nothing to attach to, nothing to like. It's all just dreary, depressive, meditative slowness. And I have no problem with the theme on motherhood. I'm a huge fan of Babadook, which explores similar themes, but I think it's just such a turnoff that I couldn't get past it in this instance. Olivia Colman, on the other hand, is just like, I could watch her sit and watch paint dry, which is pretty much what you're going to do in this movie. I did not like it.
Well,
I like Olivia Colman quite a bit.
She steals a doll, Matt. I mean, come on. Pam, you got to be on my side here, and you had to like The Lost Daughter.
You know what? I did, but I also understand Matt's point of view, and I'm going to be completely honest here. I started to watch that in my basement at home with lots of distractions, and I'm like, this is going nowhere. I can't watch it. And I gave up. And then I saw it in a movie theater where I was sitting and had to pay attention. And oh my God, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I caught things that I didn't catch before because I was distracted because the dogs had to go out. I felt things in these subtle nuances. I mean, you talk about Olivia Colman being able to watch paint dry. The expressions in her face have a million different emotions that we can all relate to. I think it is an extremely poignant film about how difficult it is to be, I don't want to say just a mother, but in this case, a mother, anyone who sacrifices to help their children or gives of themselves in order to have their children succeed. You know, and it is this push and pull of giving and taking. And I mean, I know I gave up. I used to be a speech language pathologist. I gave up my career to stay home with my kids. I was happy to do that because, well, I'm a control freak and I didn't want anybody else raising my kids. But I mean, you lose a little bit of your own identity. You lose a lot of your own identity. I'm going to take that back. You lose who you are. And then you have to rediscover yourself. You put yourself on a back burner. And this shows how difficult it is. And yes, it is a bit of a slog. And no, there aren't any redeeming aspects to this film other than the fact that you can walk in another person's shoes. You can walk in a woman's shoes. You can walk in a mother's shoes to feel some of the same struggles, that power struggle. And oh my God, that one little girl, I just wanted to throttle her. I needed her to go into timeout. I mean, and to Gyllenhaal's credit, she pushed that aspect just to the point where you're like, I can't take anymore. And then she would cut and go to a different scene. We experienced it. We felt it. That kid drove me nuts. This mom was too young emotionally. She was not ready to be a mom. And as you said, Ryan, in your intro to this film, Jessie Buckley does an extraordinary job of honing in on the frustrations and the difficulties of marriage and how kids affect that. It's eloquently done. It's beautifully done. Jessie Buckley is incredible. I found, and I think maybe this is what's kind of, it does slog in points, as you had said. I think it focuses on being so artistic that it forgets that it needs to tell the story.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's, if she would have pulled back on that aspect a little bit, not doing so much of the underwater scenes and the aerial scenes, and it took too long to push things through, kind of like how I'm doing right now with explaining the movie.
I got 2 quick points.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right. 2 quick points. First of all, the camera work you're talking about was one of the things I actually found myself paying attention to more because the story was so boring.
And that shouldn't be, though.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
But I will point out the cinematographer is the same that gave us Sometimes, Always, Rarely, Never. And I'm forgetting her name right now. Phil, can we throw that in the jaw box? And the other point I had, this is kind of how I think about this film, and especially Olivia Colman's performance, because I do think she's amazing. And Jessie Buckley was great too, but this Olivia Colman is just like on a different level. It's as if you commissioned Rembrandt to paint a dog. It's going to be a great painting of a dog. That's my analogy, guys. I thought it was.
Wow.
Well, I don't know what the hell.
Like the dog.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's talking about half the time. So
it's a beautiful piece of art, but it's still meaningless. It doesn't convey.
You can't tell me that The Lost Daughter is meaningless. There is no way this film is meaningless.
I think that just left us all speechless.
No, it has themes. It's meaningless is probably the wrong word. It's just, it's art
so
for the sake of art.
Opposite of this movie.
No.
I mean, this movie is. I think a lot of people out there, I don't have kids, but I think there's a lot of people out there. And as you said, Pam, it doesn't have to necessarily be, a mother. It could be a father or, even an uncle and aunt or somebody that has to change their life. Caretaker, that are going to see this movie and relate to it. That we don't see enough of this discussed. Yes, you mentioned the Babadook. How old is that, Matt? And you're pulling that out. We don't see this subject.
It's not the only one.
But we don't see the subject come up all that often still to this day.
You know what, though? We have seen that come up quite a bit this year. I don't know if you've seen Come On with Joaquin Phoenix and Gabby Hoffman. That definitely takes a look at the difficulties of single parenthood, motherhood, and the stresses that puts on, again, a marriage. I mean, these are common themes that come through, I think, and we're seeing more and more of that. I was lucky enough to be a part of the panel discussion with Maggie Gyllenhaal and Peter Sarsgaard and Dakota Johnson. They said that, this is the writer of this book explores topics that we don't want to talk about. It's not cool. Like I have not shared, and I'll have my daughter listen to this podcast so then she can hear that. Being a mom is a really hard thing to do, and it's not all hunky-dory. And I always thought it would be this really cool, fun thing, and I'd be the coolest mom ever. And things don't turn out that way. It's one of the most difficult things to do. And sometimes you resent where you are. And that's a really hard thing to own up to. It's not a pretty thing to say, I resent you. I brought you into this world and I resent you. That's a really horrible thing to admit to saying. And that's what this book brings up. And this is what this movie brings up, is that we're not perfect as people. We're not perfect as mothers. And we don't always like our kids. We'll always love them, but we don't always like them. And there was one scene in this movie where Olivia Colman, her character Lita, was talking to Dakota Johnson's character. I don't remember her name offhand. And she said, what was that like when you left your family for 3 years? She said it was amazing, fantastic. How many people would say that? There should be guilt. It should be, oh, I did the most horrible thing ever. But she didn't. She was honest, and she said it was amazing. She says the truths that we don't all dare to say.
And there's also a line in there where she talks about it being a crushing responsibility, I think is
motherhood is a crushing
Happy birthday. Yeah. It's the most crushing,
And that line also, I mean, you wouldn't normally say that. I mean, coming from this character, it completely works. But you're right, Pam. Most people wouldn't have the courage to be so honest about exactly what they're feeling.
Right.
I agree with everything you guys are saying, but here's the thing that you have to be a horrible. Everybody has those feelings, and you have to be a horrible person like this character Leda is to. And maybe I'm making a judgment on her. I guess I probably am, but to just totally give in to that, because everybody has those feelings where you need a break, you want to get away, you resent your kids for a few minutes, and then you think of the good things, and that feeling passes, at least for me. I guess I can only speak for myself.
It's a roller coaster ride, but not everybody has the roller coaster. Some people have they're in the merry-go-round in the basement level all the time.
I will say the movie is successful with the themes, because obviously we're talking about them. They are thought-provoking, but unfortunately it's wrapped up in this dog painting that is just, there we go again. It's just completely unsatisfying. You know what I mean?
I disagree.
you can bury a gem in a pile of crap, and it's still, wrapped in a pile of crap. It's still a gem, fine, but you can have the gem.
You're being way
I
too
will
harsh
wash it
on
off
this.
and clean it and wear it proudly.
I do want to mention the cast, because all around, yes, we're talking about Jessie Buckley a lot and on Olivia Colman, but this is a superb cast. You also have Ed Harris, who pops up in here, and we've mentioned her, Dakota Johnson. I have to give credit where credit's due. I was so harsh on her when she got started here. I said she's a throwaway actress, and then slowly but surely, I'm seeing her in things where I'm like, oh, she's much better than I'm giving her credit for. And she won me over again here, playing
Did she really?
Yeah, the mom/wife of the American family that Olivia Colman has the tussle with. It worked for me. I didn't even realize it was her for about 15, 20 minutes. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's Dakota Johnson. So they did a good job.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't explore that character enough. All of that obnoxious New Jersey family. All my family's from New Jersey, I can say that.
I was born there.
I don't think we got a glimpse into Dakota Johnson's life enough to know who she was. I thought she was a little bit of a throwaway character. I would like to have seen a little bit more of that. This was truly Lita's story in the current times as well as the past. And then I know Chuck and I had I won't say a heated conversation, but we had a conversation about the ending.
Oh, let's do that. I mean, can we dance around spoilers here?
Go for it,
man. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, it is kind of hard.
Okay, so earmuffs if you don't want to have any spoilers, I guess. But he believes that she's no longer with us. And I'm totally. Like, everything is hunky-dory, and she has rectified things.
I think the entire movie is her reconciling her sins. I mean, not to get spiritual on you, but I think that it's an allegory for purgatory, where you face all the things that you've done in the past, your transgressions, your wrongdoings, and then at the end she dies and she comes out, she's in heaven all of a sudden,
I like
spoiler alert, but she's doing things that she hasn't done in years and wishes she could have.
Oh my gosh, I think that's a beautiful ending. That is so not what Maggie Gyllenhaal said it was, but I like your ending interpretation much better.
Really? That's interesting, because I thought it was so like, oh, obviously this is what it is.
Well, you should know, Matt, you're wrong about 95% of the time, so you should have guessed yes. If that's what I'm thinking, it's wrong.
I like that interpretation. That's a beautiful ending to the story. I like that.
I thought it was like an existentialist kind of movie, but what was your thought, Rye? What do you think?
Well, to be honest, I saw this at the Chicago Film Critics Festival, which was, I think, in November sometime. And I remember when we came out, I thought, man, it's definitely open to interpretation. And I thought I would have probably seen it a second time before doing this review, but I haven't. So it's not nearly as fresh in my mind.
Right.
All right. Last point on this. In the beginning of the movie, it opens with her collapsing on the beach. Okay. Right. So that is her death. Everything that happens after that is a recollection of her life. And then at the end, we see her wake up from that, and suddenly things are bright. So take from that what you will.
Oh, and it is light and bright. I like that. I enjoy your interpretation of the ending, which to me then makes this powerful movie even more powerful.
Yes, it just turned it into a 4-star movie. I love it.
Failed.
Right. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I'm up to 3.5, close to 4 now. Thank you, Matt.
Jesus. You're welcome. You can have some of my stars.
Matt, was there a jaw-dropping moment in here for you?
The hat pin, I suppose, is the jaw-dropping moment of the film. I couldn't find it. You know what? Here's another one. The pine cone was genuinely almost a horror movie vibe, gave me a sense of dread. I thought that was well handled, but it's not exactly a jaw-dropping moment.
No, I don't think there's necessarily a jaw-dropping moment in the film, but as far as the idea of the missing doll, I love when we come to realize that Olivia Colman's character actually has the doll, and how strange that is. That whole entire sequence there, I was like, what is going on? This is so bizarre. It lured me into the story even more.
I got a nitpick about the doll.
Actually, Chuck and I found a doll in Central Park, and we took a picture. I'll send that to you guys. But how about the way Ed Harris danced around the whole doll being on patio, and Olivia Colman's character didn't seem super stressed out about it. I'd have been a little more like, what's going on here? I got to get him away from the window, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a mob doll. You got to be careful.
Right? Right?
Movie poster quote, Matt?
I mean, so the movie poster quote I wrote was incredibly harsh. Now I kind of want to revise it. I said, just get lost. But I don't know. It lost me. There you go.
Oh, boy. I went with the perfect movie to take your kids to.
See, I'm afraid for my daughter to even listen to this podcast, and my son as well.
All right. We're on a 4-jaw scale. How many jaws, Matt?
1.5.
Wow, that is harsh. That is harsh.
I want to be entertained, and I wasn't.
Pam,
I'm going to 3.5. Matt bumped me up. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
That's already at 3.5. I'm sticking with 3.5 jaws from me as well. So, Jawheads, obviously, we are split on this one big time. So if you see The Lost Daughter, it's streaming right now on Netflix. Shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. Let us know what you thought. Do you side with Matt? Do you side with me and Pam? Or you can always email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com. Phil, one other thing to throw into the fish tank, because Matt keeps calling it a slog of a movie, too.
Slog.
It was actually a shorter runtime than most of these movies at the end of the year by a in my guess, 30 minutes. Can you throw in how long The Lost Daughter is? But my guess is less than an hour and 40 minutes.
Phil, throw it in the jaw box, get the exact number, but I can tell you it's 2 hours with the credits.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
wow. In my mind, I was thinking like an hour and 40.
About 30 minutes in, I was like, I went to my scroll bar to see how much longer it was. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much longer is this thing? So it's around that number.
I think it's over 2 hours, just 2 hours and some change, I think.
Well, throw it in there. All right. Brings us to our favorite performances of 2021. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we're putting them all together in 5. So you can pick female lead, male lead, supporting, so on and so forth. And there were actually a lot of great child performances this year as well. I know one may come up. We'll see. But Pam, you're our guest. You get us started this week. Was this tough to narrow down to 5 for you?
Yeah, you know, I didn't narrow it down to 5. I narrowed it down to 25. Is that a problem?
Wow. I got a few honorables as well.
All right.
A lot of honorables.
Well, you got to start with number 5, though.
We do. And I'm going to start with the kids because you're absolutely right. I have a list of 4 kids in the category. I just put young. And they stole the show. They carried the show. They were absolutely incredible. I mean, it goes from, and my pick in this category, and I kind of put them into categories. My pick in this category is Jude Hill in Belfast. Again, my top movie of the year. This little kid was engaging from the minute that you laid eyes on him, and you were with him. You saw the events take place through his eyes, and you were back in time to your 9 or 8-year-old self, and knowing exactly what this child was feeling because of the vibrancy or the fear or the love that he showed to his parents and his grandparents. He was absolutely extraordinary, but he was only one of 4 other kids: Daniel Ranieri from The Tender Bar, Woody Norman from Come On, Come On, and Amelia Jones, a little older, but yet she's a newcomer to the acting gig in Coda. So incredible year for young actors, but Jude Hill, I think, blows them all out of the water.
And to be honest, Belfast doesn't work if you don't have that performance from Jude Hill. I mean, it needed to have a kid that was that charismatic, and that's tough to come by. You're resting the whole movie on his shoulders, and he pulled it off.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh. That's basically it was a semi-autobiographical film of Kenneth Branagh's childhood. So he cast this little boy, looking at 300 different actors to play this role, and he went back audition after audition. He said the cutest thing in this interview that we had, saying that after he researched the Troubles in his cute little Irish accent, he said, "I found it my responsibility and duty to do this film."
Oh, wow.
This is a little, and he wasn't like bullshitting or anything. He was just this was one of those first interviews too. So it wasn't like he had things practiced, very sincere, very authentic. And oh my God, I loved this little boy.
I did too. He certainly was great. No arguments here. I guess that swings it around to my number 5. And I'm going to talk about a performance. We always get solid performances to amazing performances from this guy, but this one in particular isn't being talked about enough. Not on my top 10 list of the year. I just want to highlight this performance because he literally carries the whole movie. Tom Hanks in the film Finch. It was
this pick, Matt.
It's a total sleeper. I don't think enough people saw it. I'm not telling you that this is a 4-jaw movie. Go out and see it right away. It's on Apple TV Plus. If you have the service, you owe it to yourself to watch this movie. Like if you got it for Ted Lasso, go ahead and watch Finch. Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks. He's always just amazing to watch, totally delightful. He's one of the few human beings in this movie, and that's okay because it's Tom Hanks. You know, it just works.
It is.
He's done it before. He had Wilson, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I think he's handicapped by the fact that he is Tom Hanks. We take it for granted. If that was a lesser known actor, people would be like, oh my God, what a performance. He acted opposite this robot and, you know, was so charming. We watch it and we're like, well, yeah, that's Tom Hanks doing his thing. We don't give him the credit that he probably deserves. But I loved Finch. I'm a fan of this one.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. What do you got at number 5?
My number 5, I wanted to put one on. I really liked this movie, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Didn't make my top 10, and have not discussed it in our recap yet. So here it is. Maybe Pam's a fan of this one. Hopefully she is. Big year for this actress/director. My number 5 is Rebecca Hall in the movie The Nighthouse. And this movie came out summertime. She plays Beth, a woman who actually lost her husband to suicide. And she's devastated. She spends the nights in this house, this big house, alone, drinking, and going through a lot of his belongings. And she seems like she's getting by and doing okay on the outside, but her friends are concerned for her. But her husband's ominous note that he left her from the suicide is this. And this is what the note reads. You were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now. And that note absolutely perplexes her, right? And this performance by Rebecca Hall, she's got to be, suffering, and showing that she's grieving. But she also has to show strength of trying to figure out this mystery of exactly what her husband was talking about. And
what's this film called? I'm sorry, finish your point.
Yes, let me get back to it. But she completely does. And I talked about, when I did talk about this briefly earlier in the year, there are a lot of like in-camera shots where we think we may see a figure in the house, but it turns out to be like a shadow of a banister or, a weird lighting thing happening in the house. And the camera refocuses and shows us that in camera. I really appreciated that. It's called The Nighthouse, Matt. And I don't think enough people have seen it. And I thought Rebecca Hall was excellent. I actually had her written down for my favorite performance of the year for a long time until we started getting into the heavy stuff here. She was leading the pack for me. So I really went for this movie. Pam?
I thought you were going to say Passing. So although she didn't star in it, she directed it. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Nighthouse as well. It was one of those psychological thriller horror movies that you just didn't know what was going on until the very end. I thought it was extremely well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Check this one out, Matt. Write it down in your journal.
That sounds fascinating.
So that was my number 5, Rebecca Hall. Into our 4s, Pam.
All right. Did you guys see the movie Pigs starring Nicolas Cage?
Oh, yeah. High on my list. Yes.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad. I feel like that one flew under the, no pun intended with Pigs Can Fly, but I think that flew under the radar for a lot of people. Nicolas Cage has an extraordinary performance. Initially, I think the first maybe 3 minutes, he grunts 3 times. There's not a whole lot of dialogue initially, but then when we learn about, his pig is stolen and he has to go back into society, he's in the woods, he's a truffle hunter, and someone has taken his pig. He goes back to Portland and confronts some people who he thinks have maybe stolen his pig, as well as confronting his past and the issues that he was trying to run away from. Wow, was this definitely made my top 10. And Nicolas Cage has finally made the right choice because, man, he has chosen some pretty shitty movies in the past. And this one, I think was just wonderfully done. One of my favorite scenes of the year is also in this movie as he sits down with the young Alex Wolff, who plays the guy who's the son of the salesman and sells the truffles to the different high-end restaurants, and the chef sits down with them. And Nicolas Cage he looks like he's a homeless man. He's dirty, he's stinky, he's disheveled, to say the least. And there is a conversation, a dialogue that takes place that truly was jaw-dropping to me.
Absolutely. We highlighted it last week quite a bit.
Did you?
Yeah, when we talked about our favorite scenes for sure. But I have a question real quick, Pam. Like, when you heard about this movie, were you like, what is this crap? I mean, when you sat down, what was your skepticism of this movie?
My thought was, oh God, another Nicolas Cage movie. It's going to be a slasher. There's going to be a lot of blood. There's a pig on the front. Yeah, whatever. And then like 5 minutes, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Didn't take much at all. I was not expecting what I got. And this is a movie that came out in, I don't know, maybe February. I might be wrong on that.
Early on.
So that's almost a whole year ago. And that is still in my memory, and still, I don't need any reminders to say, don't forget about voting for Pig. Pig is top on my list.
Good pick at number 4. Matt, what do you got there?
I'm going to highlight Thomasin McKenzie from Last Night in Soho at number 4. She had a great year, and she's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. She was also in Old alongside Alex Wolff, comes up again. Both of them had a good year. But Last Night in Soho, she plays a girl who we don't know if she's losing her mind or if she's seeing the other side or what's going on when she closes her eyes and has these vivid dreams of Anya Taylor-Joy. But I really think it's Thomasin McKenzie's performance. I mean, that anchors the movie. I just like her. You know what? She's just kind of got the it factor for me, and I'm a fan. So just wanted to point that one out. Put it on my list, Rye.
I like it. Swings it over to my number 4, and it's a pick that you just mentioned, Pam. As I mentioned Rebecca Hall, you thought it was going to be Passing, and this time I'm going with an actress from the movie Passing, and that's Ruth Negga, who, let's start with the film's main character, Irene, who's played by Tessa Thompson. This is a difficult movie to discuss here. We got Tessa Thompson playing Irene, who is a light-skinned black woman living in Harlem. And she sometimes passes for a white woman. And by sometimes, I mean by going to stores that she might not have been allowed into, or hotels, so on and so forth. When she meets Ruth Negga, who is an old childhood friend, actually is passing for white the entire time, actually fooled her husband to thinking that she is not a black woman. And we come to find out that this guy is extremely racist. And
her husband?
Her husband, yes.
Okay.
And so the film actually takes on a whole nother level of tension once we see where this is going. But the performances here by the two, you could really link them together. Ruth Negga and Tessa Thompson are both excellent in this film. I mean, this is why I love the movie sometimes. This is something that obviously had never come up in my life, and it was something that to be able to explore this and see this, as you had talked about, Pam, when we were talking about The Lost Daughter, to put you in the shoes of someone else and to see the struggles and the situations that people have gone through time, because of, people being racist out there. It's literally insane. And Rebecca Hall actually directs this movie, making her directorial debut. Very impressive. It's also on Netflix, I believe, Passing. So no excuse not to check this one out. 2 great performances in it. I was a fan of this one.
It's the empathy machine, right? That's what Ebert said.
Right. That was an incredible movie, and I don't think a lot of people realize that Rebecca Hall's grandfather was black, who passed for white his whole life. So a lot of personal commitment in this story and this translation from the book to the movie. So
yeah, I didn't know that, and I was wondering why she directed it, and then obviously read articles online. And I was like, oh man, had no idea. So I could see obviously why this was a story that she wanted to bring to the forefront and direct. So passing Ruth Negga, my number 4, into our 3s we go.
That leaves me, and let me look at my list of 23 that I have left. I'm going to go with Jodie Comer for The Last Duel. The Last Duel is my number 2 movie of the year.
This is great.
Jodie Comer plays Marguerite. I don't speak French. De Carouge.
We'll go with it.
Spanish. We're going to go with that. This is way before the Me Too movement, and this is a story told in Rashomon style. We've got 3 different perspectives. We start off with the man who ends up being her husband, Matt Damon, and then we hear the Adam Driver version, and that is the man who actually ended up raping her. And then we see the truth, and that is from Marguerite's viewpoint. So we see 3 different viewpoints that change ever so slightly, but ever so importantly. And each time, all 3 actors have to change their perspective, their actions, their subtle reactions. And Jodie Comer has one unbelievably powerful performance that, as I said before, this is way before she's reenacting, recreating, reincarnating a woman from the 14th century, so centuries ago, before the Me Too movement. But she had the courage to stand up for what she knew was wrong, and Jodie Comer brings her to life. Mm-hmm. Incredible performance.
I love this movie. I love that it's coming back, because it seemed like it was going to just get pushed to the side, and it did start making top 10 lists. It made yours. We talked about it last week in our favorite scenes, the duel at the end. I mentioned how tense I was going into that last fight. It was like literally watching a sporting event. I hadn't seen anything like that in a movie.
So what was the most tension-filled part of that? Was the fact that she was sitting in a chair that had kindling beneath it as she's watching these 2 men fight. One wins, she burns. The other one wins, and she doesn't burn. I mean, it's yeah.
And you got to love the thought process too. At the time, was whoever wins the duel obviously was right in their argument. That's right. That's how we solved it.
In the eyes of God. Yeah.
In the eyes of God. Well, if this guy wins, obviously he was the one telling the truth.
Right. Crazy.
Makes sense.
Crazy,
that tracks.
Crazy.
Good pick.
All right.
Thank you.
At number 3 for me, I have Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardo. Speaking of Lucy being from your hometown, Pam. I'm getting confused faces here. Really, I thought that it was maybe not the best movie of the year, but her performance was solid.
All right.
Really, guys?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know if it's top tier. I mean, especially when we're lumping everything into 5 picks, and this is number 3. Whew, okay.
Okay.
Matt's having an off night. Hey, we'll chalk it up to Matt's having an off night.
Let me defend for a second, okay?
Okay.
If you told me that there was going to be a movie with an actor starring as Lucille Ball, and then you said it was going to be Nicole Kidman, I would laugh in your face. I did not think she could pull off this role whatsoever. That's a tall order for anybody. But she stepped in and she did a great job. She knocked it out of the park. She played Lucy, and I was convinced. I thought she did a fantastic job. This is probably one of her best roles in like maybe 10 years. What do you got?
What? You got to be out of your mind. Nicole
Really?
Kidman,
No, I mean,
everything she does is fantastic.
She's not playing
outside
Nicole
of playing Lucille
Kidman.
Ball.
Really, Ryan?
Yes. I am.
Give
I am
me the
big
last
on
great
Nicole
Kidman. Give me the last great Nicole Kidman role. And if you go Eyes Wide Shut, man, I'm sorry, that was more than 10 years ago.
I'd have to pull up IMDb in front of me, but
Exactly.
No, I'm just because I can't think of movies right off the top of my head.
If I said Adam
hotspot.
Driver, you could name probably 5.
But I'm
right off the
telling
top of
you,
your head.
everything Nicole Kidman in has been great. She's been on fire.
That is
even
not true.
Yes, she has been. I swear to God, probably less than a year ago, I was talking about she might be the best working actress going today, in my opinion. So yes, 100%.
Okay, now here's my confused look at you. You got to be out of your mind, dude. And if she's so on fire, how come you can't name anything? You're pulling up IMDb on your phone.
I am. That's not a lie. But dude, I running all this stuff around here. I can't think of everything on a spot.
Come on, come on, dude.
I can't think of everything on the spot. But you are so off.
That's how I feel in trivia, Rye. I understand.
She was good in Bombshell. Not great, but she was actually good in Bombshell. That was last year, I think.
Yeah. Is that what you got? Really? Okay. Wow.
How
She
about
melted
Lion?
the house.
She was the mom in Lion.
She was
both
great
loved
in that.
it. She was excellent in that. That was 2-3 years ago. I don't know. I have to go on throughout the list. I loved her in Destroyer. I had Destroyer high on my list in 2018. I loved her in Destroyer. I'll stop it there. But
2018. That's like 3-4 years ago at this point, dude. She hasn't had a serious performance where we stood up and paid attention.
Rocker.
I don't think so. You did not convince me there with the picks you just said.
I swear she's one of the best going still today. If Nicole Kidman's in a movie, I'm usually very excited to see the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she was very convincing as Lucille Ball.
That's fair.
Right there. As I stated at the beginning, little did I know you were going to be choosing this. I am from her hometown. My grandmother went on a double date with her. My father worked on the recreation of the theater. That's the Lucille Ball Theater in Jamestown, New York. I have a really, really strong connection to who this woman was. Nicole Kidman didn't find her personality, and her speech was all wrong. When you listen to me talk, would you say that I'm from New York City?
No.
I don't know. I'm biased though because I know where you're from. So
You do. I am not from New York City, and Nicole Kidman's Australian accent got in the way, making Lucille sound like she's from New York City. And that pulled me out of the character every single time. Her voice was very good. Her speech was not. I thought that Javier Bardem played Desi, right?
Yeah, Desi, yeah.
And he was phenomenal. Not for a minute did I think he was not Desi Arnaz. But Lucille, I went in and out of believing whether or not she was Lucy.
That's interesting. I've heard the opposite said way more, that most people really liked the performance, believed her as Lucy, but didn't buy Javier Bardem as Desi. So
okay. Well, I didn't dislike the performance that much, but it's nowhere near a top 5 of the year, and especially at number 3, Matt. Holy
I'm
cow.
trying to highlight some movies that weren't on my other lists. First of all, second of all, this was a great performance. I loved it, and it's a tall order for anybody, and I think she nailed it.
All right, let's get back on track here with a really strong performance, and this one was a supporting. I think he's got a shot here at winning the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Comes from the film, Matt's #1 film of the year, Coda. I'm going with Troy Kotsur, who plays the deaf father of Ruby in the film. And while he has so many funny moments opposite Marlee Matlin, who's the wife in the movie, he also supplies one of the most emotional moments of 2021 with a quick 2-letter word that instantly caused tears to come out of my eyes at the end of this film. Absolutely devastating and just powerful moment that he gives. I loved this guy. What a performance. And obviously it's sign language performance. So there's that whole entire thing. We're just talking about what a big part of talking and the dialect is in a performance with Nicole Kidman. Here's a performance by Troy, who doesn't speak in the film. It's all sign language. It's all showing on his face. It's all body language. And what a performance it was. That's a number 3. That's what we're talking about here, Matt.
You'll get no arguments from me, man.
And I got a thumbs up from Pam. That's all that matters.
I'm just trying to talk about some other movies. But dude, you know how I feel about Coda. It was my #1 pick.
All right. Well, we're going to take yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a break right here. And when we come back, our top 2 performances of the year. Plus, we have a Stump the Kubinski coming up. Stick with us, Jawheads.
Jawheads, we know you're looking for even more ways to enjoy fun movie discussions with us here at Cinemajaw, and we got you covered. Check out our YouTube channel. In 2022, we're going to be doing more animations, more reviews. We're going to be getting on the YouTubes even more than we have in the past. So be there or be square. Square is in a tube, as in YouTube. Follow us there, and while you're at it, please click subscribe. It helps us out a ton. It helps build the channel and get even more people involved with movie discussions, which is a great thing. Support film, support Cinemajaw, follow us on YouTube, and enjoy.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex. Big no-no! Big no!
I'm a dead man.
Sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
That clip was from Wes Craven's Scream, which came out in 1996. Our plan is to have a review of the new Scream movie next week, so if you want to refresh your Scream memory, the first 2 films are currently streaming on Peacock.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with Pamela Powell. Pam, again, for the jawheads that want to listen, read, see your reviews, where should we send them online?
Check out Real Talk with chuckandpam.com, and you can read, listen, watch, and connect with, anything and everything. So just Real Talk with chuckandpam.com.
Do it, jawheads. Before we get to our top 2 picks and Stump the Kubinski, we threw a few items into the fish tank. And I know Phil, he wants to swim up to the top. Let us know what we got wrong. All the way from Seattle. Let's open up that fish tank.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up!
No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, there's some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, guys, it is absolutely delightful to be out. Our first, I'm going to jump right into these because we have a surprise. There's only 2 questions, but there's a surprising amount in here, like in terms of answers. Our first one: who is the cinematographer of Lost Daughter and Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always? I will never get that right. That DP would be Helene Louvar. Just a little bit of an anecdote here. Every time we do a retro review, Ryan always mentions the Cinemajaw team's crack research, but he does not mention the crackpot research that I do because I am a crackpot. I tried my damnedest to see if Helene Louvar has a dog, so that way I could paint a picture of it and then send it to her signed by Matt Kay. This is how, I DuckDuckGo searched if she has a dog, and I found nothing. So I guess we'll just have to send her somebody else's dog.
Yeah. Just go ahead and send
from the
her
Cinemajaw team.
There you go.
That's the best we can do. The other one, also Lost Daughter related. What is the runtime for the film? And as much as it kills me to say this, we have to give Matt Kay a lot of credit here. And everyone just save this in your back pocket. We'll see how Stump the Kubinski goes. I don't want to inflate his ego. He won't fit through the door. But he is right on the money. It is 121 minutes, so exactly 2 hours with 1 minute extra. And I did also run it through the ringers. I did everybody's number ones of the year. And just to compare it to the other films, it is a little bit longer than everybody's. Belfast came in at 97 minutes. Titan was 108 minutes. And Coda was 111 minutes.
So it's not a short film. It's definitely.
I guess I was just so drawn into it that I thought it was shorter than it was, but
no escape. So drawn in. It's like being drawn into a tar pit.
All right. Was that everything, Phil?
That's all we got.
All right. Jump back in that fish tank.
Oh, you bet.
All right. Back into our list. We are into our number 2s. Favorite performances of 2021. Pam, what do you got there?
This is, as I said before, I've got like 25 different names down here that any and every one of them could be interchanged. And the fact that we're not doing male and female, that just makes it a little bit more difficult. So talk about a fish tank. I think I'm just going to like throw my line in and see which one I pull up. And I'm going to go with Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom. I saw this movie and wasn't really super excited about it, and ended up loving absolutely every minute of it. And it's because of Andrew Garfield's performance as Jonathan Larson, the creator of Rent from back in the day. Man, this guy can do it all. He can be Spider-Man, and he can be a man who's lost in music and wants nothing more than to create, and the power and the passion and the talent that he has comes through in this role as Jonathan Larson. The guy can sing, the guy can dance, the guy can play the piano. I mean, he is a one-man show that never ceases to amaze me. I love this actor. He is incredible.
This was such a strong performance from him, too, that I think caught a lot of people off guard. I didn't know that he could even sing or was like musically inclined to the point of, this musical is wild. I mean, he's doing everything, like you said. And there's a wonderful diner scene in the movie that just completely won me over. But I hope it makes a little noise come Oscar time. I hope he actually gets nominated and more people see it, because I think it's another one. I mean, there was just a slew of movies came out, and only a few have been getting talked about. And I think this one needs to be talked about a little bit more.
I agree.
Love me some Garfield.
Matt, can you follow that up? I don't think Nicole Kidman had another performance this year.
Come on, you guys. Nicole Kidman was great. All right, I'm following it up with a guy who I think we had written off 100% if you had even heard of this guy. Came out of left field with Sean Baker. And I think I might be, am I incorrect in remembering, Pam, that you did not care for Sean Baker's films? Or is
did not care for Sean Baker's films. That would be absolutely correct.
All right. Well, I don't know how you feel about this year's entry. I saw it at the Chicago Film Critics Fest, and it killed there. It absolutely killed. I'm talking about Red Rocket and Simon Rex as Mikey Saber, a washed up porn star who returns home. I was going to say with his tail tucked between his legs, but there's too much going on there. I'm just going to not say that, even though I already said it. And his performance, Simon Rex used to be on MTV, if some of you will remember, kind of disappeared for a while. And holy crap, man, he acted the hell out of this. It's kind of a role that makes a lot of sense for him for a lot of reasons. But still, I mean, he just carries this movie. Even though his character is so slimy and such a con artist, he's also kind of charming in a way. You can understand and appreciate how he's able to be successful at being a con artist. And he's also funny. I mean, the movie is a great comedy. It was a lot of fun. I'm curious to hear Pam's opinion on the film. But if you enjoy Sean Baker's movies, I think you'll enjoy this performance from Simon Rex. But what did you think about this one, Pam?
I have to be honest with you. The DVD is still sitting down in my basement on the player. I have not bitten the bullet and put it in there because I can't stand his style of filmmaking. And I am going to have more than one glass of whatever's in here now for me to be able to watch that. I just don't appreciate his style, his narratives, I don't know.
It's not for everyone. I appreciate that. But let me say this to all the people out there who feel the same way as you. This one's a little different. It's way more comedy. It still deals with some pretty salacious topics and, sex work as have most of his films so far, if not all of them. So be prepared for that. But it's more like a throwback to the like late 70s, early 80s sex comedies, in a way. So it's not it's definitely not Florida Project. I can say that.
God.
Oh, I love the Florida Project. Bite your tongue, Pam. But
talk about a kid that needs to be put in the corner and taken time out. Ugh.
So I've only watched less than a handful of movies twice out of 2021, and Red Rocket is one of those movies. And
really?
I tell you what, Simon Rex is phenomenal because he completely makes the movie work. You gotta buy into Mikey and his performance. He's so charismatic. You could see why he would have been a star in that town of growing up, and why he would have thought he could go to Hollywood to become a star. Everybody loves him, especially his neighbor who drives him into town constantly. We get this vibe that everybody looked up to Mikey for a little while, and he's just absolutely hysterical. I'm a fan of this one, Matt. Would have been on my list.
Thanks, Rye. What do you got there?
My number 2, from a film that I also saw twice, and I'm glad I did. Caught it at the Music Box playing in 70 millimeter over the holiday. I'm speaking of Licorice Pizza, and my number 2 performance is Alana Haim, who plays Alana in the movie. And this was an easy pick for me. For starters, the whole reason that the movie works is because you want to hang out with Alana and Gary, who are the 2 leads. And seeing it a second time at the Music Box, it's exactly that. It's like, yeah, I want to hang with these 2 people a second time. Now, Alana's making her first acting performance, not counting her many music videos for her band Haim, and she's simply amazing here. This is present actually in the opening scene, which sees Gary, a high school student who's hounding her for a date, and she all at once is annoyed, flattered, intrigued, and flirty herself. And her driving a truck backward is one of the craziest scenes in film in 2021, a complete highlight. Again, just a character I wanted to hang out with. I loved Alana and Gary in this movie. You a fan of this one, Pam?
You know, I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I love that scene that you're describing of driving backwards down a California hill, not just a hill, but a California winding road. Bradley Cooper was great in it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I needed a little bit more of a narrative arc that it didn't have. It was a slice of life or a slice of pizza. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's her performance was good. It was intriguing. Yeah.
That was my number 2, Alana Haim. Here we are, our number 1 performances of 2021. Pam, who are you giving it to?
You know, it's so tough. I mean, I truly have, you know, we talked about Olivia Colman's performance. Of course, that was extraordinary. And Gabby Hoffman and Come On, Come On. Man, it's, I mean, if you ask me the same question tomorrow, I might give you somebody different. But I haven't given enough praise and love, I think, to my varied top 10 lists that I have for Mass. I don't know if you guys have seen Mass.
No.
It is an ensemble cast, and the lead in this, although it's 2 couples, for those of you who are listening that don't know what this movie is about, it's directed and written by Fran Kranz. He's got an incredible acting resume. However, this is his first time sitting in the director's chair. And he has 2 couples coming together in some Midwestern church basement. And th're coming together to resolve some issues that they have. We find out that these 2 couples, Ann Dowd plays Linda and Jason Isaacs is Jay, and Reed Birney and Martha Plimpton. Actually, it's Ann Dowd.
Martha Plimpton?
Yeah, actually, it's Ann Dowd and Reed Birney are a couple, and the other 2 are another couple, and they discuss the effects of a mass school shooting. They've both lost their sons in this school shooting.
Oh, man.
The caveat in this is the one couple, the mother, played by Ann Dowd, is the shooter, and the other couple is the victim that is taken during this school shooting.
Wow.
Whoa. Talk about, you talk about, Ebert saying, you got to walk in somebody's shoes and have empathy, and that's what movies do for you. Never before. We've had plenty of movies that discuss mass shootings in schools or mass shootings, period. Never has anyone delved into this topic so deeply to allow us to maybe not walk in their shoes, but walk next to them so that we can understand both of their experiences and guilt and reticence and regrets and how do you move forward and where does the healing begin? I mean, each and every one of these characters could be the main subject in this. It's like I said, a small ensemble cast, but Ann Dowd is going to be for me my lead actress and number one.
I'm excited. I was showing. I had the screener sitting here because
screener? I thought that was a soundtrack.
No, this is actually the screener that came in the small case, and I have it here because I plan to watch it this weekend. It's one of the last few ones. So you talking about it right now has got me even that much more excited. So I will check out.
Let me know what you think. Cinematography in this is great. The script is great. Edits are great. Everything in it is sharp, crisp, and clean.
Can't wait to watch it.
And Martha Plimpton too. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
To boot.
She's been absent for a while. Nice to hear her name. All right, and number one, I don't know if this is a big mystery or if everybody kind of pegged me for having this, but I'm going with Kristen Stewart in Spencer.
I'm shocked.
Just going to rip the Band-Aid right off. I mean, why are you so shocked, Pam?
I did not like Spencer at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't take it. I don't know. It just was like, again, the whole speech thing, like the breathy voice throughout, just like, give me something else. I don't know. It was just brutal. It was brutal.
Wow. I mean, it's funny. That's how I feel about The Lost Daughter. So I understand how you feel. But I just the opposite for me. This was the magnetic, meditative kind of movie of the year for me. It was just so gorgeous. I mean, like every frame is just dripping with style and beauty. And that score from Johnny Greenwood, I don't think anybody is going to be surprised when he wins the Oscar. It's either for this or his other Power of the Dog.
Yeah, yeah.
So Johnny Greenwood's taking home an Oscar this year, but I would give it to him for Spencer. But I'm talking about Kristen Stewart and another one where she's stepping into a larger than life character. And say what you will, you know, Kristen Stewart's had some really great acting roles, especially lately, but I think a lot of people still dismiss her. And I think this may be the death of her naysayers, except for Pamela Powell.
You know, I've come to the conclusion, though, that Matt, you and I
have
almost
opposite.
100% of the time disagree on everything.
You know, yeah. I almost hesitate to say this. You know what? I totally, we disagree. We disagree. I'm going to leave it there. There was a film you mentioned earlier that I didn't like, but
which one?
We could talk about it later.
All right.
All right. Swings it to my number one. Also a heavy hitter, and I think Oscar frontrunner here. And I would be happy if he won the Oscar. I'm going with Benedict Cumberbatch for Power of the Dog is my number one performance of the year. And it feels like Cumberbatch has been amazing since he sort of came on the scene. It's like, oh, he's Benedict Cumberbatch. When was he not good, you know? But I think him playing Phil in Power of the Dog is him at his absolute best. And he's complex here. It's a complex character. He's intimidating. He's vulnerable at the same time, which is difficult to pull off. You need to be able to convey that in ways that we can understand just looking at him, and he does. We dislike him, but at the same time, we feel for him. And that all needs to be there to have that amazing scene that I've alluded to a few times at the end of this movie that has this sexual tension, this mystery of where it's going. There's so much going on that I was, just lost on where the film's direction was going to end. And I was stunned that a movie could do that to me, but it sure did. Power of the Dog was amazing for Johnny Greenwood's score. A lot of great performances in the movie. Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst, and of course my pick, Benedict Cumberbatch. And I don't have him in front of me. Oh boy. And Jane Campion, probably the front runner perhaps for Best Director. Would like to see that happen as well. And also the actor who played Kirsten Dunst's son. Can we
Cody Smith McPhee.
Yes, Cody Smith McPhee, excellent as well. So all around great cast, much like The Lost Daughter. But I think the standout here is Benedict Cumberbatch. I think he's going to win the Oscar, is my prediction.
I wouldn't be surprised. I totally agree with you. He was a repulsively vile man, but there were reasons that we discovered later as to why he had that facade. And then you felt for him and you rooted for him, and the ending was chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did an extraordinary job. And I loved Cody Smith McPhee, who just may walk away with the Best Supporting Actor award.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race there. I think it's between him and Troy Kotsur for Coda. I think those two are going to battle it out, but I'd be happy with either one of those winning. So, honorable mentions here, guys. I'm going to go first because I only have 3 that weren't mentioned, and then we'll let Pam list her other 73. Here we go. I have Jeffrey Wright from The French Dispatch. Small, quick performance, but I loved it. Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers. She's always excellent. She's excellent here. And Will Smith in King Richard.
Yeah.
One of his best, if not his best. Loved him. Matt?
2 of mine have been mentioned, Troy Kotsur and Will Smith. Alex Wolff in Pig, I thought was a fantastic performance. You almost need him to be your surrogate to see Nicolas Cage through his lens. So how about you, Pam?
Oh, wow. You had one. As Matt said, I have like 735. You know what? One of the performances I think that have gone to the wayside is Ray Liotta in The Many Saints of Newark. He had a dual role in that, and both Chuck and I absolutely loved that performance. Penelope Cruz, I thought the same thing as you did, Ryan. Olivia Munn in Violet, I thought she was outstanding. Again, almost a dual performance, if not maybe a triple performance of who she was in this film. Judi Dench in Belfast. Joaquin Phoenix, he's like this ordinary guy. That in and of itself is, I think, a feat for him. And come on. I think you guys have covered a lot of the other ones. I don't know if you saw The Killing of Two Lovers, but Clayne Crawford was extraordinary in that as well. Good year. It was a really good year.
It really
started
was.
out kind of weak. It was a really, really strong year.
Strong ending, for sure.
I don't know if it's possible, Jawheads, but if we missed your favorite performance of the year, yes, we are aware of the fact that Matt didn't mention Tom Holland as Spider-Man. We're aware of it. But if
damn good performance,
we missed your favorite performance of the year and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet. We are at Cinemajaw, or you can email us feedback@cinemajaw.com. All right, something different here. We are playing Stump the Kubinski this week. 5 questions. We stump him if he does not get at least 3 correct. Since we have Pam on the show, your lifeline, and your only lifeline, is to ask the guest for help. So you can ask Pam for a clue, or she'll help you out, or just flat out give you the answer. Okay. You only get that one time. So use it wisely, Matt.
Man, I'm sorry.
In honor of the 355 starring Jessica Chastain, we are playing Jessica Chastain themed trivia. Really quick, Pam, did you see the 355?
I did.
Really quick. I mean, worth seeing or no? To the Jawheads. When
does this air?
This comes out on Monday.
I would skip it.
That's why I did. It's I'm not ready to jump into new movies yet. This one's one I passed on.
It was a smart move.
All right, here we go. Question number 1 over to you, Matt. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jessica Chastain has made one movie directed by Guillermo del Toro. Name it. Jessica Chastain in a Guillermo del Toro film. But which one was it, Matt?
Yeah, that's tough, man.
This is a tough one.
I'm trying to do like
probably not a good one for
process of elimination. Well, I know it's not Nightmare Alley, and
no.
I'm pretty sure it was not Shape of Water. She's not in that. I don't know. Pan's Labyrinth. I got nothing.
Oof, wow. Incorrect. We were looking for Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak. Yeah. It's the one I still haven't seen.
It is 0. correct so far for Matt K. He needs at least 3. Question 2 to you, Matt. Jessica Chastain appeared in the movie The Help. Who played the lead in the film Skeeter? Who played the lead in The Help?
I didn't see The Help. Oh, wait. All right. I might have to go to Pam on this one just to get on the board.
Are you ready?
Yeah, all right, fine. I'll use my lifeline, Pam.
Okay, Emma Stone.
That's my answer,
correct.
Ryan.
That is correct. He is on the board.
Okay.
1 correct for Matt K.
Thank you,
was
Pam.
Emma Stone. Question 3 over to you, Matt. Jessica Chastain appears in only one movie with Brad Pitt. Name it. I'll give you a hint because...
All right, please do. Yes, thank you.
Having Pam here triggered this. Pam was our guest when we did our favorite movies of the decade. And this film appeared on my list of my favorite films of the last decade.
You think I pay attention to your lists? I mean, what the hell?
It had Jessica Chastain, Brad Pitt. We have some type of interpretive dance going on that I clearly know what she's going for.
Manchester by the Sea?
No, that is incorrect.
Oh, all right. I thought those were like the waves of the ocean or something.
She was trying to be a tree for you, Matt. A tree swaying in the wind. We were looking for the tree of life. No?
No.
All right. He has 1 correct out of 3. He needs these last 2 or else we officially stumped him. Question 4 is over to him. Matt, in 2014 and then 2015, Jessica Chastain made 2 movies with Matt Damon. Name them both.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. This is true. She made 2 movies with Matt Damon.
Tell me the years one more time.
2014 and 2015.
All right. So The Martian.
That is correct. He's got 1.
I have to name them both? This is so hard. All right. Let me think. Oh, geez. All right.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
This is actually really good, this interpretive clues, because Pam is
I think
almost
you might
playing
be
charades to help Matt out here. But
all right, geez. All right, 2014. It was just the year prior.
Yeah. So you had The Martian and this other film.
Interstellar.
Yes.
That is correct. Yes. Wow. I am stunned. It is 2 right, 2 incorrect. So it comes down to this last question. Did we stump him? Here you go, Matt. In 2014, the film A Most Violent Year, Jessica Chastain plays Anna Morales. Who plays her husband, Abel Morales?
Oscar Isaac.
That is correct.
It's a movie that I saw and I loved. So
well done, Matt K. We did not stump him.
Good job.
He gets 3 out of 5.
You knew just about every one of those, Pam.
Kind of weird, right?
Well, I'm telling you, it's just, you're right. It's being on the hot seat that makes it difficult.
Right.
I cannot do your trivia game to save my life.
The other thing
life.
too, Pam, is most times you aren't drinking a whiskey. So maybe you got to have whiskey, and then maybe it helps your trivia. Good stuff. Well, it brings us to the end of a great jaw. And first and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Pam Powell. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much. Cheers to 2022, you guys.
Cheers.
Absolutely. We also got to thank our engineer, our editor, Fill Me In, Phil.
Oh, yeah. I'll use my time to plug our Instagram account where I don't know how long exactly this will take me, but at some point in the near future, you'll see a painting of a dog.
I like it. Get that up there, Phil.
Will you just make the caption "The Lost Daughter"?
Yeah.
All right, jawheads. Look forward to that.
Absolutely. Matt, we should also thank our sponsors.
We should, Ryan. We totally should. Thank you to Overcast and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get great sponsors like that.
If you want to support Cinemajaw in 2022, you can do so by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and click subscribe. And you know what? Do it on YouTube. We're dropping some new videos in 2022, so check us out there and click that subscribe.
Until next week, I'm Ryan, the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt K.
And keep on jawing about the movies.